Well, good evening. You're watching Up South. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. We'll soon be joined by my colleague T.S. Sudhir. But our first story in Up South. Indian nurses stranded in Iraq have sent out an SOS after they were told by the terror group Islamic State to leave the hospital they've been taking refuge in. The nurses say the terrorists arrived at the hospital and ordered them to board two buses under the pretext of taking them to a safer place. Fearing for their lives, the nurses told our correspondent that they then called the Indian embassy in Baghdad and were told not to board the buses. The Indian diplomat told them if they left the hospital, there would be no way to track them. The nurses say the Islamic State militants then warned them that their hospital may be hit in the fighting and that they would not be safe. They have now appealed for urgent help to be taken out of the war zone. All right, we're joined by my colleague T.S. Sudhir. It's over to him from here on.
Thanks a lot, Preeti. Now joining us live from Bangalore is my colleague Rohini Swami, who has been tracking that story very, very closely. Now, Rohini, obviously extreme fear is what defines the mood there in Tikrit in Iraq. You have been speaking to those nurses who are in fact even scared to talk in English because they fear that their phone lines are being tapped. What are those nurses and what are their families back home in Kerala telling you?
Well, you're right. They have been saying that they are speaking the native language to me in Malayalam largely because they feel that their towers are being tracked and they could also, their conversations could be tracked. But they have very clearly in their conversations said that they have holed themselves up in the basement of the building all through the night. In the day, they did come up to refresh themselves, but sometime in the afternoon, the militants did offer them, they said that there are two buses waiting outside the building. They want to take them to a safe and secure place. But the nurses at that point of time called up the Indian ambassador and explained it to him as to what the militants were offering, and he advised them not to go with them. Very clearly, the stand taken by the ambassador, we've seen how the MEA also has been speaking. It is the advice given to them is so that they say that if they go with the militants, they won't be able to track them. They won't be able to even, they won't know if they're being abducted or kidnapped. So the families in fear, nurses in fear, utter despair. But the MEA also has come out and openly said that as of now they're safe and secure. The nurses, they're closely monitoring it from their side too. But they said yes, bombing has taken place around the hospital and they're hoping for the best.
Right, Rohini, we would be coming back to you for more news updates on the condition of the nurses and of course their families back home in Kerala, extremely anxious and want to have those nurses back home with them as soon as possible. Thanks a lot, Rohini, for joining us with all those details. Now moving on to news from Chennai, where a building collapse on Saturday has left 29 dead and another 27 are actually recovering at different hospitals in Chennai. Meanwhile, the relatives and the family members of those who are still trapped under the debris are hoping for some good news pretty soon. My colleague Srisha Reddy sourced the preliminary report to find out what actually went wrong.
Screams of those trapped under the debris and cries of their anguished families are pushing rescue teams to work swift and non-stop at the collapse site in Chennai. It's a lucky escape, for this young man has been pulled out from under the concrete and pillars. It's been almost 100 hours since the building came crashing down. Rescue workers are not leaving an inch of space under the debris unchecked. Cameras are being lowered into nooks to spot survivors. And just then, another cry is heard. The team rushes to the spot. The victim's hand is spotted under the rubble. A team of nurses and ambulance is on standby so that not a minute is lost. A doctor is ready to administer essential fluids to the victim. And in less than a minute, the young woman is pulled out and whisked away to a hospital, while the team rushes back to the tragedy site. 35-year-old P. Jaya is hoping for a miracle for her brother and sister-in-law who are still trapped.
శ్రీకాకుళం జిల్లా అండి, బామిడి మండలం. అన్నయ్య వదిన కష్టపడడానికి వచ్చామండి, కడుపు కోసం వచ్చామండి. అన్నయ్య ఇద్దరు ఎవరు బయటికి రాలేదండి. 4 రోజులండి వాళ్ళకి ఇక్కడనే ఉంటున్నాం. వాళ్ళ పిల్లలు చిన్న పిల్లలండి. ఏం చేస్తాం, అందరూ తీసరికి వాళ్ళని ఇంకా తీయలేదండి.
It's an endless wait for families of those who are trapped in the collapsed site of the under construction building. Of course, they are waiting to recognize their family members with photographs of their family members, just for that one positive reply that yes, their family members are alive. Several people have been admitted to the hospital in Chennai, but of course it will be an agonizing wait. They have been waiting for more than 4 days here.
As the clock ticks, the death toll rises and hopes of many sink.
Preliminary investigations have revealed a number of factors that may have contributed to the collapse of this particular building. And the foundation that was dug up for the construction of these stills and the rafts slabs were not strong enough. This is what the experts said when they were digging out the rubble. See, this is the soil that's, where the building has been built upon, which according to the experts and the reports say that it is not fit for building a 11-storied residential complex.
The initial probe report has identified 5 likely causes of the collapse, and that includes clayey soil, a weak and shallow foundation, weak columns, beams and stilts.
I am at the other side of the 11-story twin building that collapsed on Saturday evening after rains lashed the city, and the visuals clearly shows that the blocks are not structurally aligned. The block below and the block above, this is not structurally aligned. There is of course a gap. They have made a temporary adjustment, and this is the way that the buildings have been built, and which has made the structure very weak. And this is one we could find, and there might be several others when we get into the details of the investigation reports once it arrives. And they've also used weak beams and weak stills according to the experts and the reports say. In Chennai, Srisha Reddy for Headlines Today.
In a shocking case of medical negligence, a pair of surgical scissors has been found in the abdomen of a woman who was operated upon in 2010 in Mangalore in Karnataka. In fact, she was suffering from acute stomach pain ever since the surgery took place. And in fact, only an X-ray could actually reveal the foreign element.
Hafsa Rahim is recovering from a surgery she should not have needed in the first place. This one that she underwent on Monday was not to cure any part of her body, but to remove a pair of surgical scissors that was left behind in her abdomen the last time she was operated upon in 2010. Then she had undergone a surgery for a fibroid in her abdomen at a nursing home in Mangalore. Subsequently, she constantly complained of stomachache and skin rashes. With painkillers proving to be of no help, an X-ray finally revealed the shocking reason.
ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪೂರ್ಣಿಮನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ನಾವು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನನಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಮದ್ದು ಮಾಡಿ ಆಯಿತು ಮೇಡಮ್ ಇದು ಗುಣ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಮಾಡುದು ಅಂತ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ನಿನ ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅವರು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ನಿನ ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ತೋರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೆ ತೋರಿಸಾಯ್ತು ಅದು ಗುಣ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅದು ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕಲ್ಪನಾ ಶ್ರೀಧರಿಗೆ ಹೋದೆ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾನಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದರು ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾನಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ರೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೆಗುವಾಗ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ರೇ ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಕತ್ತರಿ ಉಂಟು ಯಾರು ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂತೆ.
Armed with the X-ray report, the 31-year-old met Dr. Purnima Nair to get the scissors out of her body.
ಬೇಜಾರು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಉಂಟು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಮಗೆ ಸಹ ಇದೆ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ನಿಗಾರಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಸಹ ತುಂಬಾ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ತದೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೊಡುವುದಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಇನ್ನು ಸುಧಾರಿಸಬೇಕಂತ ನೋಡಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ.
Doctors, however, point out that Hafsa had been operated upon once before she came to their nursing home. The obvious hint is that the first surgeon must have left his scissors behind.
ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ದಟ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದ ಗಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಕಿ ಉಳಿದು ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳಿದಿರಬಹುದು ಒಂದು ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಏನಿದ್ರು ಅದು ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆದ ಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಈಗ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಪೇಷಂಟಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಯಾರಿಂದ ತಪ್ಪಾಗಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಟೀಮ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಯಾವ ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಆದ್ರೂ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಹೊಣೆಗಾರ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡಿದ ಭರವಸೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಓಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಂಡು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಮುಗ್ದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಪೇಷಂಟಿಗೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅದು ಬೇಜಾರದ ವಿಷಯ.
Hafsa's family will approach the Consumer Court for compensation now. Meanwhile, a case has been registered against the 2 doctors at the nursing home. With Ratnika Sharma in Bangalore, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Joining me now from Bangalore is Dr. Meenakshi Bharat, a medical practitioner herself, also associated with the Lok Satta party there in Bangalore. Dr. Meenakshi Bharat, a surgery has taken place for absolutely no reason. Do you see this as a freak case or something which has probably come out in the public domain, one of those rare cases?
Instruments being left in the abdomen post-surgery is a rare occurrence. Has been for a long time, and I think it's rarer now because we tend to have multiple levels of checks and balances before we close up the abdomen. So I think this is a problem that has occurred because somewhere somebody has slipped, and it's usually the nurse who will give the okay to the surgeon saying that all is clear, all the instruments have come out. We also do check when we are putting in an instrument inside the abdomen. We do check, ourselves, our colleagues will all check, has all the instruments come out. So this is a very rare occurrence nowadays, and it's unfortunate that it has happened. But this should have been detected much earlier. 4 years is a long time for the woman to have suffered.
Absolutely. 4 years is a very long time, Dr. Bharat. Ironical that we are discussing this on World Doctors' Day. Now, do you advocate that the license of the two doctors there in Bangalore should be suspended and an example made of such negligence?
I wouldn't agree to the license being suspended. I would definitely have the medical council take disciplinary action because the doctors would have, years of experience. And it's an unfortunate incident, but it must be made known that if any such recurrence ever happens, then more strict action will be taken. Somewhere all of us have to be more careful because we are actually dealing with lives all the time, and we have to be utterly careful.
Now, India's badminton star Saina Nehwal is back home in Hyderabad after her triumph in the Australian Super Series. Now, she has not won too many big titles ever since that Olympic bronze medal in 2012. But this title win should make her feel good about her game and fitness levels. Saina Nehwal now joins us on Up South. Saina, thanks a lot for joining us on Headlines today. Now, would it be right to say that Saina is now back at the top of her game?
I think at the highest level you don't know when you're back or when you are at low. You always have to have that confidence to be the best, and you have to just keep on working hard, and that's what I did. I don't really think that I'm back. I have to still play many more matches and beat many more top players to be at the top. So now my aim is to just train hard and be ready for all the tough matches.
Saina, would you say that there was considerable pressure on you to win this title, given the fact that you have not won too many big titles, both in 2013 and even in the first 6 months of 2014?
No, personally there was no pressure at all. Only I think there were a lot of questions from media and a lot of questions from the people outside. Obviously they keep asking, but it's okay. Finally it was my hard work, my training which I did, and I made sure that I win against all these top players because I wanted to win. I always won so many tournaments because I wanted to win. So it was finally my thought and my hard work which really helped me to win.
There is a school of thought, Saina, that perhaps your Chinese rivals have figured out your game. Would you agree with that?
I think I've been playing with them from last 6-7 years. They know my game, I know their game. So it's not about the game now, it's about mentally whoever is strong will pull out the match. So it's not about the game. Obviously even I will be reading their matches. I will be working even more harder to be one of the tough competitors for them. But it's not easy to play against them, but I have to be very much ready and very much I have to work very, very hard to beat them.
Right. Thanks a lot, Saina Nehwal, for joining us on Up South. We wish you all the best in your future matches.